We're live now.
And we're live. Let's see. We are live in the programming panel directly from Glass Lab in Athens with my students from Athens. Thank you.
And my friend, Margaret.
He is still my friend.
Yes.
Yes, we just had the creative panel that you can watch now on the recording on the YouTube. We're going to sort all the links out. We're going to add all the links from the different creators that have things to share with us. And now we're talking about a little bit of a, can I say, serious subject? I think programming is serious.
It's always serious.
Yes, because without a program, you basically just have Lego. You don't have a robot. You don't have life into your creation. So the programming part is really interesting. And furthermore, what's interesting is that you really can be programmed in so many, using so many different languages,
So many different
environments, absolutely. And so, in order to cover parts of that, because we'll never be able to talk about everything in 40 minutes, we have people from all around again. Let's start the panel. I think some of them we have met before, but let's pretend we haven't.
So from before we have Andy with us from Florida.
Yes.
Hello, Andy.
And just an intro, and we'll get back to the core of the discussion. So, Andy from Florida, let's hear your voice.
Hey everyone, it's Andy down here in Florida. Looking forward to talking about programming. I know it's definitely one of my favorite things.
So what's your programming choice?
Let's go to Athens. Oh, you have a very, very nice connection now.
Yes.
Very fast connection.
Oh, that's good. But can we hear you?
So, hi, it's Morelia.
Anderson. It's Anderson.
Hi. Hello.
Perfect. We hear you now.
And then we go to the brothers.
Hey, the Session Brothers. How are you?
Hi everyone, we're doing good.
Excellent. You're coming in nice and clear. That's cool. Wait a minute. That's me in the background.
Yeah, it is.
Woohoo! You can't wait to hear about how you programmed this robot.
And then we go to
Hi, Kyle. Tell us.
Hey guys.
So Kyle is known as Builder Dude 35.
Can you guys?
Continue, sir. So yes, Builder Dude 35. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Okay. Say something so we know that you're coming in. Okay.
So we have Lee. Hello, Master. Hi, Master.
Hey everybody, greetings from Denmark. Can you hear me?
You can hear you.
All right, awesome.
Programmer of the Dragon. Programmer of Dragons. We actually have Lee is the one who made the blue dragon.
You see the dragon?
Yes. Hey, kids, everybody point the dragon.
For the dragon.
That's the dragon. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody can see that.
Wish you were here, all of you.
Lee.
It's the little blue one in the corner.
And then we have Thomas.
Thomas from Germany.
Good evening from Germany. Hi.
Good evening. Thomas is a friend of mine who helped me to program the program that makes 3D prints with the stars, the different shapes. So he helped me to program this robot. And
Can you hear me?
we can hear you well.
Cool.
Yep.
Then we have Sander from the Netherlands.
Hi.
Hey guys,
Oh, you're coming in clear.
I'm in sunny south of France,
Oh,
and
just choosing
yeah,
one.
so yeah, we
Where do we?
yeah, so no, I'm working from here. So robotics is my job now, I guess. It's no longer just a hobby.
You do look like a Cyberman, so that kind of fits, right?
I look forward to chatting with everyone about programming.
So, Xander, what's your programming language of choice?
That would be Robot C.
Aha, that's right.
No surprise there. Considering I brought Robot C to the EV3 back in starting in back in 2013, and I now work full time for RoboMatter.
So you said you bring Robot C to EV3 basically by creating all the necessary drivers needed for all the sensors that were built up.
Yeah, well, we had to start off. We had to make some changes to the standard Lego VM so that it would allow us to run Robot C alongside it. So we took the open source Lego firmware, modified it. It's all up on the internet, and it's now able to load Robot C, and then Robot C can talk to the Lego VM or the hardware directly, and that's how Robot C works in a nutshell. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but that's pretty much how it works. And that's how we were able to port Robot C pretty quickly to the EV3. It took probably about 3 months of programming between the two of us. I did most of the Linux stuff, fixed a whole bunch of bugs that were in the Lego firmware, because there are some less than optimal programming techniques used in the Lego firmware, so we had to work around some of those. But all of that stuff is online. So
Right.
if Lego should feel so inclined, they would be more than welcome to all of the changes that we've made.
So that's
And we did this.
so you've got an updated firmware for the EV3 that will allow it to make use of Robot C. So Robot C
again?
is a special firmware.
Well, Robot C comes with a special version of the Lego firmware, which we have modified. It's backwards compatible with Lego's own programming environment, because that's something that we really wanted to do. We wanted to make sure that people didn't have to reflash their EV3 every time they wanted to use something else. So in the classroom, which is our main target audience, that makes it much easier to use, because, well, you don't want to have to spend 4 minutes, 5 minutes every time you want to switch all of your EV3s to another programming environment. We make curriculum for both Robot C and the standard EV3 software, so it makes sense for us to have a firm that works with both.
Excellent. So who in this panel also works with Robot C? Anderson, do you work with Robot C?
Yeah, I commonly use the Robot C for programming my Sumo bots. I started using the Robot C after the release of the EV3 because the not quite C is not so good to programming the EV3 in C language.
So Robot C was a solution.
Yeah. It's the best option to programming our robots beyond the EV3 software.
Okay. And Kyle, do you use Robot C? Kyle?
Yes, I've used Robot C.
So-
I'm sorry.
You tried it. Gotcha. Okay, where I think your connection is. Okay, here we go. You've tried Robot C, but your language of
Me?
choice is
Can you hear me?
yes.
Are you talking to me?
Yes. I was asking if you had tried Robot C.
Okay. Yes, I'm actually actively doing a project in RobotC. It's I'm making a software program that improves the accuracy of GPS, and I've taken it to a few different science fairs now, and I'm still developing it and improving it. Actually, just this past June, in the beginning of June, I went to a state science to present my RobotC project there.
Really? Okay, Kyle, we're going to come back to you. I think your video is coming in and out. So, unfortunately, we also lost, we didn't lose Victor. We were supposed to have on the panel with us Ralph Hempel from Canada, who's the developer of the EV3 Dev, and one of the programming languages that can be used on EV3 Dev is Python, and I believe that the Session brothers are big users of the Python language, correct?
Yes, that is correct. We used it in our robot pixel plotter. It's actually right here now behind us. We used EV3 Dev to program our printing robot here in Python language so that we could analyze images and print them out. And also, by the way, we've also worked with Robot C in the past.
You've used both then. So I honestly haven't used either of them. Can you tell me why I would pick one software programming language versus another? What would you say are the main differences between using Robot C, which is a text-based language, and Python, which is a text-based language?
So Python allowed us to analyze images, which was a big key feature in our pixel plotter. So also because it is Linux, we're able to easily transfer the picture that was drawn, a picture that we took, to the EV3.
Directly, because the EV3 is also Linux.
Yeah.
And when you say that Python allows you to analyze image, is that because there are some available, what do you call them, libraries or available?
Yeah, there's a library, Python imaging library, that allows you to analyze each pixel of a picture and find its color.
So you didn't have to reinvent the wheel there. You could use a pre-made tool for that.
Yes.
Cool. And so in which instance have you used Robot C then? For different projects? Or?
We used it in the past for First LEGO League in, I think, 2012.
Yeah. We have also used the Robot C for EV3 when it first came out, when it was still beta software.
Okay.
We helped test it.
Yeah, they were part of our testing team.
Okay.
I remember that. No, but a big difference between EV3 Dev and Robot C is that Robot C is mainly targeted at classrooms,
Okay.
and EV3 Dev is really suitable if you like to hack your EV3, make it do things that it wasn't really designed for. Robot C is a much more structured environment, whereas EV3 gives you all the freedom of an embedded Linux platform, such as the BeagleBone or whatever. So you have a much wider range of languages that you can use, and a much greater amount of functionality available to you, because you are not restricted by either the Lego firmware or the Robot C firmware. So for hackers, if you want to really tinker low level with the EV3's hardware, then I would definitely recommend EV3 Dev. It's one of the reasons why Ralph started the EV3 Dev Linux distribution, it was because he couldn't do what he wanted to do with the standard Lego firmware. It's quite restricted in what you can do with it. For one, it runs off the internal flash, which only gives you 16 megs of compressed space, whereas EV3 Dev is booted off a SD card, which gives you up to 32 gigs of space. So it has many advantages, but then an SD card in a classroom is not really suitable. I would love to port Robot C to EV3 Dev, to be honest with you, because I am not too happy with all the restrictions that the Lego firmware gives me. But unfortunately, SD cards are not something that we can really ask teachers to use in a classroom, because the kids will remove them and lose all the SD cards, and that becomes extremely expensive after a while and very cumbersome.
Yeah.
Plus, a lot of teachers will not understand how to create a new SD card should one break. And I'm not sure if you've ever tried to pry an SD card out of an EV3, but you need a very specialized pair of very small pliers to do it. Because it doesn't have a push to eject, but SD holder, I guess.
So we're talking about the SD card right over here. That little opening here is where you can add cards and turn the brick on, and it will actually load either using. So
yeah, so the brick is capable of booting from the SD card, which gives you an enormous amount of power. It was a very cool feature that was added to the EV3, and I'm very glad that they did it. It's made it possible for projects like EV3 Dev to be created. I think it's a very cool project. I really love the collaboration that goes on. I follow the project very closely, and I'm constantly in touch with both Ralph and the other people who are running the project, because I think what they're doing is really awesome. And if I had more time, I would probably port Robot C to EV3 Dev, but unfortunately, there's only so many hours in a day.
now, for those who stick with the EV3 software, you make it sound like we're all crippled and we can't do much with it, but I believe.
Well, I said you're constrained by the choices that Lego made, and those choices may not always be other people's choices. That's why an environment like EV3 Dev, if you really want to unleash the full power of the EV3, then it's like taking public transit, which will take you from A to B very nicely, very comfortably. But if you want to go via A, B, C, D, E, maybe a car is a little bit more suitable for you. So yeah, while the EV standard Lego firmware is, there's nothing wrong with it other than a couple of bugs in it. And for the most people, that will be more than adequate. And I think that's something that you must realize. It's not that it's bad. It's just that there is other stuff out there that if you require more power or more features, there's other choices out there for you.
I think
it's the same reason why some people choose to use Linux instead of Windows, because they want to unleash the full power of their hardware.
I think what Xander's talking about is something that I often deal with, is picking the right programming language and operating system for what you're doing. For a lot of what I do, I might grab my iPad and just do it off in the EV3 Programmer app, because I can knock it out quickly and it does what I need it to do. But for some of my more recent projects, including a project I'm working on right now with another couple people in the community, I'm definitely using EV3 Dev because it affords me so much more capabilities. So I think Xander is exactly correct in this, that they each have their pros and cons. If you want something that works well in the classroom or is very, very turnkey, the standard firmware or Robot C works really well. Even Lejos, I would throw into that same boat, can work very, very well. But when you really need something that really takes a lot more tuning, EV3 Dev is a great choice. And I'd say Lejos is sort of in the mix between the two, because there are some cool things like the Open Robota stuff that's built on top of Lejos that is very turnkey, very classroom friendly, but the Lejos sort of Java operating system can be a little bit more cumbersome.
Depends. If you create, let's say, a project for public, and you want to share it with the public, you prefer to use the standard software. If you want to use all the power of the EV3, yes, I fully agree that you have to use other tools.
Well, Thomas and I, we worked on a pretty complex program in order to make my 3D printer work. Now, so we decided we were stubborn in wanting to demonstrate that this could be done with the software as is. What was your experience with doing that? And do you think we should?
I think what Sana was saying about the limitations, I can echo that, but my perspective is I take that more as a challenge to achieve the goals nonetheless. And my background is first LEGO League, where you are not allowed to use anything else but the standard software. And from there, I've seen as a judge and referee and also as a coach, it's really, the limits are far out. You can do lots of things with a standard programming environment without the need to go text-based or to flash your firmware. So I'm convinced many things you can do, and really I take it as a challenge also to figure out how things work. But I've also hit limits, like crashing it because something in the firmware did have a bug. Yes, of course.
Yeah, what's your point on all this, Lee?
I use mostly the EV3 programming language, mainly because, yes, I like the challenge of figuring out what we've done. I believe LEGO has spent a lot of money trying to create this wonderful language that I think us as a community we should exploit and kind of show what it can really be done. Also, having been a judge and coach of first LEGO League teams, I've seen what kids are creating from there, and you know, because it's a graphical language, it's not only creating a program that works, but also creating beautiful programs that actually have some look and aesthetics, and teaching kids how to separate the blocks in different types of programming structures so that they make sense. And
I say to myself, for example, to myself, I'm feel more like a student than a programmer. But I always program it myself on my own. So you are more a builder, I think, less a programmer. Is that true?
yeah. Yes, I'm more of a builder than programmer.
So
I'm a bit of a purist when I build my creations, and if I have the LEGO programming language, I'll use it. The dragons and anything I've made have all used EV3 language, so you can do all sorts of cool stuff with Bluetooth connectivity, daisy chaining. You know, and it is depending on what you need to do and want to do with your robot. But there is some imaginable power in it whenever you need to do it. But there is all sorts of cool stuff that you need the language-based programming for, and I still have projects in mind that I'd love to do more with that, but I'm not. I'm no master.
If I can add something more there. I think one of the limitations that I found was that often the move blocks don't behave the way I want them to behave. And of course, again, take it more as a challenge. So if you want to make, for example, for the plotter, make two motors run different speed, start at the same time, end at the same time, then you need to go a level deeper. Then you need to understand how can I measure speed? How can I calculate on the fly the power that is needed to run them both smooth. So if you like, once you are done with the green blocks that have lots of logic built in by default, if they don't work like you think they should, then take it a level deeper, gain more understanding, and do the coding on that level. And that also works still before you need to leave the graphical environment.
So I'd like to add something to what everybody's been saying. We agree that you can learn many advanced concepts with the EV3, like the concept of proportional, integral, and derivative, and making more advanced ways to do your moves and turns, even just with the EV3 software, and without having to use like EV3 Dev and Robot C. But after you've learned all that, you can move on to the next level and do a lot more.
You guys actually have a very popular website where you're sharing all your knowledge of EV3 software for everybody to go and tap in and learn all the tips and tricks of great programming, right?
Yes, it is ev3lessons.com. We have over 50 programming tutorials, and it's used by over 70,000 people in 150 countries.
70,000 viewers?
Yes.
Wow. That's a pretty nice
And that's it's also used by many school districts, and it targets not only the students and the teams, but the teachers and the coaches also. So school districts use it too.
Excellent. And I believe in the next panel, the education panel, we're going to talk a little bit about the new feature we got in that website called Coach Corner.
Yes.
We'll get into that in the next panel. I'd like to try to get back to Kyle.
Okay.
Look, I brought your cards in Greece.
Hopefully. Oh, that's.
I brought your cards in Greece. They're going to be available at Blast Lab now.
Really cool. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your favorite programming. You use a lot EV3.
My programming and forth between EV3 programming and Robot C, depending on what I want to do. I prefer to use EV3 until I can more advanced. Like on my channel and stuff, I try to show more of the EV3 programming because I opinion. I mean, I've mentored a bunch of robotics teams now. The EV3 is a lot easier for young to grasp because it's programming, and so that's what I show on my YouTube channel when I'm teaching the programming concepts.
Excellent. So you use EV3.
You guys can all hear me all right, right?
Sorry. Your YouTube channel, VillaDude35. You also have lessons, but they're all video lessons, correct?
Correct, yeah. The video lessons, because a lot of what I focus on is just like step-by-step going through the programming to explain as I drag each block to the program. I can put a motor block and then plug it into something else and say this is going to do that. And also when I'm showing mechanical concepts like dog gears, it's much more show the arches engaging into each other to like illustrate how it works. So that's why I prefer to use the video.
Yep.
So, Baz, do you mind if I jump in?
No, absolutely. Thanks.
So, one of the things we haven't spent much time about that LEGO released within the last year or so is this little beauty.
I'm glad you mentioned this. Of course. Yes.
So, this is one of the coolest things ever. It's programming on my iPad or on your Android. And this is actually a program I made for a Baymax robot I had at MAK3R last year. And what's really cool about this, is when I'm building, I might have a design inside my tablet, or I might just be with a pile of Lego, but my computer isn't nearby. But usually my tablet is pretty close. So I can go in here and I can connect to bricks. I could connect to really any of them. I can use the controller app just to drive, but I can actually start to bring the robot to life from inside the tablet app. And I think that that's something that a lot of people overlook when they come to programming. They think it's this big challenge, and that going back to like what the robot needs to do. But yet Lego has really made it very, very turnkey to just get something up and running. And you might go back later to your computer and actually spend some time on it, but it's something that you can get up and running, pretty quickly just by a couple of button presses. And you have all sorts of different programs that you can save in there. So like you have a very, very similar sort of front page look, and you can, it's very, very reminiscent of the EV3 software, so there's like no learning curve, and you can create a new program. It's really, really simple just to start dragging and dropping stuff to build your program. And from here, I could, I've done this with First Lego League teams all the time, where they sit at their competition table, and I give them my iPad and say, well, let's just try and rough it out and figure out what the robot's going to do. And then they can go back to their computer later in EV3G and actually make it, their final code, add their comments and all that. But I don't want us to overlook this because it's a really, really cool bit of technology.
I've actually, I'm glad you mentioned this. I didn't want to forget talking about it, but I actually use the programming on the iPad as well, so that when I'm prototyping, like you said, I'm with my Lego. So the computer is not necessarily close to your Lego. However, I can bring my iPad now and be like just beside my creation, and I like to use it to calculate, for example, on Wally, when I made him, I wanted to know how many degrees for the box to lift. And so I can be on real time and checking the degrees and taking note of all the values. And once you've got that in the iPad, you can upload the program into the actual software and then continue on with the more complex programming, connecting all your Bluetooth bricks together and everything. So yeah, this is a pretty neat starting point for your robots.
It really bridges the building side of things to the programming side, and it takes away that barrier. It makes it very, very simple to get up and running. And it's got just about every block that I would typically use. It isn't complete. It doesn't have everything, but it has most of the blocks that I would commonly use, from motors to screens to sensors and all that. So unless I need something very, very specific, I can usually knock it out pretty quickly in the app.
So another good thing about the programming app is that we teach a lot of classes, such as like the Hour of EV3 class, and it's great to just give each kid like a tablet or an iPad or something, and they'd be able to make their programs, simple programs, quickly when we teach our classes, and it's much easier to use compared to the laptop. You're also able to like go right up to the robots and program them, instead of like being on the table where the computer is and having to go back and forth. And it's much more interactive.
We find that the students really like the iPad more compared to the computer. Going back and forth between a computer, plugging it in, versus just Bluetoothing using the iPad.
If you were to, because we know there's a limit amount of blocks, if you were to choose 1 or 2 blocks that you would really, really love to see appear, what would those be, for example? Or is it fine that you teach the basics?
So probably like the sensor blocks.
Oh, to add additional sensors.
Yeah, because there's no way to actually reset the rotation sensor, for example, right now.
Actually, there is, but not in programming. You
What
can
is
it from the view, but not in the program.
Yes, in your program you can't reset the rotation sensor.
That's it. Yeah.
And it'd be good to add a comparison as well, and those sorts of blocks back, I think. Would you agree, droids?
Yeah, the math blocks tab, the reddish tab is very useful.
Right. Because then there's no variables right now.
So we've
Yeah, there's no wires, right? No wires at all, data-wise.
we actually have iPad tablet lessons, like on EV3lessons.com. Are some of our beginner lessons have the tablet app version of our lesson is there.
Okay. Excellent. But at the same time, when you're teaching some basic programming to kids, you're not cluttered with all the rest of the programming. So you can focus on the basics.
Yes. And as I said, it's also more interactive, like being up to the robot and programming it right there.
Excellent. Excellent. Thomas, have you used the app a little during your coaching and all this, or not much?
Yes, no. It's good to get started. Exactly what was just said. If you have never touched it before, it's even more intuitive than using it on the PC. But if you want to get more serious, we named them all, right? Those limitations. Not sure if the next generation of the app will overcome that, maybe, and then it becomes more close to the programming environment on a notebook, and then of course makes sense to use it.
Yeah. Excellent. Well,
we use it a lot. We use it for testing.
At last time.
Yes. And it's fantastic because the kids, most of the students get very familiar, but starting with the iPad environment and then going to the real programming, basic programming or MAK programming environment, EV3, and it's a very easy start to programming. Very easy.
Guys, we are about running out of time. We've already spoken 40 minutes together. Another great panel. I have to say, though, that we had some guests that could not make it last minute. And the result of this is that there is one important language that we did not have a chance to talk about, which is Java on the EV3 called Lejos. And so you're going to have to go and Google this if you want to know more about it. Because we didn't have time to talk about this today. So that pretty much, I think, wraps it for how you can use the different ways that you can program the EV3. Did I miss something? Anybody wants to add something with regards to all the alternative ways of programming?
There's also a basic programming language for the EV3. Somebody created, I forget what it's called, Dragon Basic, I think. And there's also a programming environment that, or a programming way to use C#, both via remote and on the actual brick. I think his name is Anders something or other, who made the C# one. So there's actually quite a number of programming environments and languages that you can use with the EV3, and I think it's wonderful that we can use all of that because of the fact that it's running Linux, which really opens up so many possibilities.
And of course, if you don't want to program, but you do want to have control over your robot, there's also an app, a commander app, which allows you to have a basic remote control for your robot. So this is another.
Even if you want to program, but you don't want to use an iPad or a PC or a laptop, whatever, you can use it on quick program.
Yes.
It's a very basic, but it's a clear process.
Of course. And just the viewers out there, there's only a free set of robots, but you can very well take one that exists for another robot and control. For example, if my Wally has a right and left track, I can use the gripper program for controlling that.
We use a lot of we use a lot of quick programming.
For prototyping.
For prototyping.
Well, this is it.
Another thing, I don't know, for Android users, there's a good option that is App Inventor from MIT. You can do the app for your phone to command EV3 or NXT. It's a good option to make a remote control with a lot of functions and other resources.
Excellent.
And is easy to use, like the Scratch, the video software.
You can use Scratch on EV3 as well, right? Xander, can you use Scratch on EV3? I think think so?
I never used it,
Yes, I believe so.
the script, but I think it's possible.
Yes.
We have to close this panel now. So
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you. See you later.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you on the next panel.
Bye, Sabrina.
Bye.
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 Goodbye.
So let's